The time is 5:15 East African time, and I want to warmly welcome you to our today's class in biology. And I'm going to use this question to explain very important facts that are actually very crucial in this subject. And the question I'm going to use is this. Let me just write it down before I can be able to proceed. So the question reads, describe hearing in a human being. This question came in this year's Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education examination, and it was in paper 2. So you are actually asked to describe hearing in a human being. The first thing you're supposed to know is this. There is a very important organ in the human body called an ear. An ear is a very important part of the human body that is responsible for hearing. So, an organ responsible for hearing. An organ responsible for hearing. Or you can say an organ that is used to perceive sound. An organ that is used to perceive sound. So hearing is only aided by a very important organ called the ear. So an ear is an organ that is used to perceive sound. So I'll just make a sketch of that organ and be able to proceed with the explanation of how hearing is aided by this very important organ. So this is my diagram. Don't mind about the diagram as long as you understand the concept. Don't mind about the diagram. Don't mind about the diagram as long as you understand the hearing process. Okay. As long as you understand the hearing process, that is the most important part. As long as you understand the hearing process. So this is just a diagram that can actually be able to get used to describe how the hearing can get aided by this ear. And of course, this is called the ear pinna. And this one is referred to as the external auditory meatus or meatus. And those two are able to get referred to as the parts of the outer ear. Then going forward, you can be able to have this one as the cochlea. This is called the cochlea, and this is called the Eustachian tubule. Eustachian tubule. And these ones are called the semicircular canals, and of course the vestibule. So semicircular canals and vestibule are very important during the body balancing and maintaining posture of an individual. This is called the cochlea. This is called the cochlea. Cochlea, very important structure during the hearing process. This one is called the round window. Round window. Someone can actually be able to call it fenestra rotunda. That seems to be a scientific name. Fenestra rotunda. When handwritten, any scientific name must be able to have the two different parts of that naming underlined separately. Then there's what you call the oval window here. Oval window. Also called fenestra ovalis. Fenestra ovalis. So underlined separately as well. Then from here we are what you call the auditory nerve. Auditory nerve. Yeah, the auditory nerve. So this other part up to this end will have what you call the middle ear. And the last part is what you call the inner ear. So let's begin. The outer ear consists of the ear pinna and the external auditory meatus. The middle ear will consist of the eardrum, which is just here. Let me just label it first. Eardrum. Eardrum. And sometimes other people can refer to this structure as the tympanic membrane. So you can either call it eardrum or tympanic membrane. So tympanic membrane. Tympanic membrane. So the outer ear consists of the ear pinna and the external auditory meatus. This middle ear consists of the eardrum or tympanic membrane, and of course these ones are called ear ossicles. Ear ossicles. Ear ossicles. Let me just write them here. Ear ossicles. I'll mention them. There are three. They're what you call malleus, incus, and stapes. Very good. Malleus, incus, and stapes. Those are the three ear ossicles. So the middle ear consists of the eardrum or tympanic membrane and the three ear ossicles, malleus, incus, and stapes, including the oval window and fenestra ovalis, and the round window or fenestra rotunda. The inner ear consists of the cochlea and the auditory nerve. And of course, the Eustachian tubule will also form part of what you call the middle ear. So you should be able to actually understand those. So the cochlea forms part of what you call the inner ear and not the middle ear. So we have actually been able to classify all the parts of that structure in human beings responsible for perceiving sound or responsible for hearing and as well maintaining body posture and balance, because the ear has two functions: responsible for perceiving sound or hearing and as well maintaining body posture and balance. To proceed, the ear pinna is a flap of skin that collects all the sound waves in the environment and concentrates them in the external auditory meatus, which is actually a tubular structure, an opening that actually ensures that all the waves are actually directed into the inner structures of the ear. So this one is a flap of skin. It is made up of a cartilage. It is bean shaped and its surface area increases the collecting capacity of the ear in terms of the sound waves in the environment. So it is bean shaped. It actually looks like a flap of a skin, and it collects all the waves from the environment and concentrates them into the ear. Then we have what you call the external auditory meatus. It is an opening, tubular in nature, and it ensures that all the waves collected by the ear pinna are directed into the ear and obviously to the eardrum or tympanic membrane. So all the waves collected by the ear pinna are directed to the eardrum or tympanic membrane by the ear pinna. The other thing to note, this same external auditory meatus allows the passage of those sound waves. Apart from directing them to the eardrum or the tympanic membrane, it allows those sound waves to pass through very easily and effectively to reach the eardrum or tympanic membrane. Within this region, in the tympanic membrane neighboring region, called the external auditory meatus, forming part of what we call the middle ear, you'll actually be able to realize that you will be able to get what you call wax secreting cells. There are wax secreting cells along this tubular lining. The wax secreting cells secrete wax. The work of the wax is to trap any dust accompanying the sound waves from the environment. So when the sound waves hit the eardrum, they do not have any dust. Why? The cells along this external auditory meatus trap the dust. And the dust produced by those wax secreting cells, you see, can be able to actually ensure that no dust reaches the eardrum. And number two, this wax increases the flexibility of the eardrum so that the eardrum can vibrate without any form of resistance due to the frictional force increasing in this region. So one, the wax secreting cells along the external auditory meatus will secrete wax. The wax traps the dust accompanying the sound waves. Number two, the wax increases the flexibility of the eardrum so that it can be able to effectively vibrate when hit by the sound waves. Now, along this line, we have hairs. The hairs also aid in the trapping of the dust, preventing the dust from reaching the flexible eardrum. Eardrum is also called tympanic membrane. It is actually made up of layers, and it is not made up of one layer. It is made up of layers. It's actually a tissue, a cartilage that is made up of several layers. It looks like a drum. And when hit by sound waves, it vibrates rapidly, converting the sound waves into vibrations. So the work of the eardrum is to convert the sound waves into vibrations. The wax increases its flexibility so it can be able to effectively vibrate, converting any waves of the sound from the environment into vibrations. Then further, the same eardrum transfers those waves to the ear ossicles in form of vibrations. So the eardrum first converts the waves into vibrations, then transfers them to the ear ossicles. We have three very important ear ossicles. We have what you call the malleus, incus, and stapes. Malleus is the first ear ossicle, incus is the second one, and stapes is the last one. So there are three bones in the ear. Those bones are found in the middle ear. And remember, so the opening to the middle ear is the eardrum. So the eardrum is also working as the opening to the middle ear. An opening and again a converter of sound waves into vibrations. And as well, the one that transfers the sound waves in form of vibrations to the ear ossicles. So the three bones are malleus, incus, and stapes. Those are the three bones found in the middle ear. Malleus is the first one, incus is the second one, and stapes is the third one. Those bones are actually supported by muscles. Those muscles are tensor, tympani, and stapedus. These are the three muscles that support the three bones, suspending them well in the middle ear. So, tensor, tympani, and stapedus, the three muscles or tissue that suspend or support the three bones. Why? When the eardrum transfers all those vibrations to the three bones, when those bones are not held in position very well with the three mentioned muscles, they can actually over vibrate, and that can actually endanger or damage the weak membranous labyrinth of the middle ear. So those three bones are held in position and as well suspended and protected from any excessive vibrations by the three different muscles. Those muscles are tensor, tympani, and stapedius. So eardrum transfers the vibration to the malleus. The malleus then transfers the vibrations to the incus. The incus transfers the vibrations to the stapedius, or we can say the stapes. So malleus is the first bone, incus the second bone, stapes the third bone. The muscles are tensor, tympani, and stapedius. Those bones are able to actually position themselves at right angles, forming levers, so that they can be able to amplify the vibrations transferred to them by the eardrum. And once they've actually amplified those vibrations, they transfer the vibrations to the inner ear via what we call the oval window or fenestra ovalis. That opening to the inner ear, where we have what we call the cochlea, is called oval window or fenestra ovalis. Once those vibrations reach in the cochlea, they can actually make drastic changes within this region. Now, when the vibrations reach here, you should understand that the cochlea is very spiral shaped. It is spiralar spiral shaped. And the spiral shaped appearance of the cochlea increases its surface area for converting any vibrations from the three ossicles into nerve impulses. Remember, the cochlea is spiral shaped so that it can offer a larger surface area for the hearing process. The cochlea has sensitive hairs on its surface. They are called sensory hairs. Number two, the cochlea has two different fluids, the endolymph and the perilymph. The endolymph is the innermost fluid. Then the perilymph is the outermost fluid. So the innermost fluid is called endolymph. Then the outermost fluid is called the perilymph. So it has two fluids, endolymph to the inside and perilymph to the outside. So when those vibrations reach in the cochlea, they displace the endolymph and the perilymph. When the endolymph and the perilymph fluids are displaced, what happens? The sensitive hairs on the cochlea are triggered or stimulated. Then a nerve impulse is generated. I repeat, when the vibrations from the malleus are transferred to the incus, then the incus to the stapes, those vibrations are dissipated to the cochlea, now the inner ear, via the oval window or fenestra ovalis. Those vibrations displace the endolymph and the perilymph fluids in the cochlea. Then the sensory hairs or the sensitive hairs on the cochlea, which is actually spiral shaped, become triggered or stimulated. They generate a nerve impulse. That nerve impulse is transmitted along the auditory nerve to the brain. Now, which part of the brain is responsible for hearing? The cerebrum. So the auditory nerve transmits or allows the passage of nerve impulses along its length to the cerebrum. Cerebrum is responsible for interpreting the nerve impulses from the ear transmitted to it via the auditory nerve. The cerebrum can be able to interpret the information in relation to one, the pitch of the sound. How high or how low is the sound? Number two, the loudness. So there's what we call the pitch, how high or how low the sound is, loudness, and as well the direction of sound. That is what you're supposed to know, and as well the direction of the sound. Those vibrations, after they have actually affected the production of a nerve impulse, they are actually dissipated back into the middle ear via the round window or fenestra rotunda. So the vibrations are dissipated back into the middle ear via the round window or fenestra rotunda to prevent them damaging the weak membranous labyrinth within the inner ear, or to prevent any damage getting caused on the delicate cochlea and the auditory nerve. Now, they are what you call the osteogen tubule. The work of this one is to equalize the pressure between the outer ear and the middle ear so that the delicate eardrum is not damaged. Remember, let's try to actually have this assumption. We've actually boarded an aeroplane and we're actually up in the sky. Remember, the higher you go, the cooler it becomes. Up in the sky, the atmospheric pressure outside the ear drops or lowers. That means the atmospheric pressure in the middle ear will do what? Will increase or will be higher. So what happens? That pressure will actually be able to get acted upon the eardrum. So the eardrum will bulge outwards. Do you equalize that pressure? Someone does the yawning. You see? And that yawning or opening of your mouth will allow the excess air in the middle ear to get dissipated out via the Eustachian tubule, so that the pressure within this region in the middle ear is lowered to actually return the eardrum to its original position. I repeat, up in the sky while in the aeroplane, the atmospheric pressure outside the ear drops. The pressure now in terms of what you call the atmospheric pressure in the middle ear increases. So that excess pressure or that increased pressure now, as far as air is concerned, will be able to get exerted on the eardrum. The eardrum bulges outwards, partially closing the ear. That causes discomfort in the ear. So to ensure that that pressure is dropped, what happens? Someone yawns. On yawning, any excess air within this middle ear is dissipated out by the Eustachian tube or tubule. When that air is dissipated out, what happens? The pressure within this region is lowered. The eardrum goes back to its original position. But sometimes this tube can be a disadvantage to the ear. How? Any bacteria or any disease-causing microorganisms from the pharynx can find their way into the ear, causing infections. Inasmuch as it is very important in equalizing pressure between the middle ear and the outer ear, it can also be an avenue for the passage of disease-causing microorganisms like the bacteria that can find their way into the middle ear, causing infections within the ear. So, how do you describe hearing in a human being? First, the ear pinna, being a flap of skin and offering a larger surface area, collects all the sound waves from the environment. The sound waves are directed into the ear. Then the sound waves pass through the external auditory meatus, with the wax-secreting cell secreting wax to actually trap any dust, and as well with the hairs along that tubule trapping any dust within the sound waves. The waves hit the eardrum. Being a flap of skin and made up of several layers, it actually vibrates and converts all those sound waves into vibrations. The vibrations are dissipated to the malleus, the first ear ossicle, the malleus to the incus the stapes, held in positions by three very important muscles, tensor, tympani, and stapedius, to prevent them from over-vibrating and causing damage to them. The vibrations are actually able to get amplified due to the arrangement of those three ear ossicles. The amplified vibrations are transferred to the inner ear via the oval window or fenestra ovalis. The vibrations displace the endolymph and perilymph fluids within the cochlea, which is actually spiral shaped, offering a larger surface area for the hearing process. Those fluids will actually trigger or stimulate the sensory hairs on the cochlea. The sensory hairs are actually triggered to generate a nerve impulse. The nerve impulse is transmitted along the auditory nerve to the cerebrum, part of the brain, now the forebrain. The cerebrum interprets that impulse in form of the pitch. One, the loudness, the direction of the sound, or the highness and the lowness of the sound. I think that's the much you can be able to have in as far as the ear is concerned, and you're most welcome again in our next lesson, so that you can be able to look at some of the defects the ear can be able to face in as far as its structure is concerned.